Gather around, folks, but be mindful they could be contagious.
Hello, good people. My name is Sister Sarah, and I well remember the day myself and 2 other sisters of St. Providence first arrived here in Georgetown. It was a cold night in the year of our Lord, 1877. We arrived by boat. Up the Duwamish River, past the tide flats, along the large oxbow, until we came here to the 160 acres of the County Poor Farm. When we arrived, we were greeted at the docks by wretched, black, ghostly figures. They beckoned us to a poorly weathered, single-frame farmhouse, where we were to do our work. On behalf of King County, we sisters did our best for the poor and the sickly. In 1877, the smallpox here was epidemic.
The pox start in the small blood vessels of your mouth, your throat, until you're covered with a rash of bumps filled with thick ooze. Then fever, diarrhea, vomiting, and for the thankful, death.
In our hospital barn, it was cold, damp, drafty, entirely inappropriate. But with our father's assistance and the help of good Mayor Weed, Mayor of Seattle, eventually we sisters from this humble beginning were able to move to downtown Seattle, where we could build a modern hospital where property could be given. Perhaps you've heard of our Providence Hospital?
Sister, will you please check on the nurse? 23 years passed since the sisters left, and the place was still quite inadequate, medically speaking, when I arrived to take charge of the hospital for the county in 1890. My name is Dr. C.H. Merrick. In my practice of medicine, I have seen much death throughout this country's Civil War, and in Oregon and Seattle. When I first arrived here, the leading cause was typhoid fever.
The fever overtakes you. A red rash on your stomach, chills, confusion, mood swings. Nurse, get away from me. Bloody stool, nosebleeds, hallucinations. Doctor, that walrus is in the room again.
Now, it was very rarely fatal. Now.
I ran the hospital on a very tight budget. But with the river running by and 160 acres of dirt, disposal or burial of the departed was both economic and convenient. It got better than that, too. In 4 years' time, we had a 3-story modern brick building and a dandy furnace crematorium.
Too bad you weren't around to see it. He died 2 years into the job. Dropsy.
Horrible, painful watering fluid builds up in the cavities of your body, leading to conjunctive heart failure.
Oh, that was a shame. I should have liked to try the crematorium. One preceding superintendent of the hospital, Dr. Willis Corson, was extraordinarily luckier than I. Dr. Corson, he took charge of the hospital, and he tended the 2 tuberculosis tents on property, all the while with a bullet lodged in the base of his skull, and put there by an escaping city jail prisoner. Can you imagine it? He never once complained. And no wonder they named that avenue running past Big Hutch's place after him.
Wouldn't have named the street after him if you were one of his patients, though. Skippy meals, barely enough blankets, flies all over the place. He even left the doors to
No.
the tents open in the wintertime.
And we were always so very busy around here. In 1908, we had 225 beds. And by the 1920s, we were filled to overcapacity with beds lining the corridors. And besides, the grand jury gave us a clean bill of health after that Star newspaper wrote that nasty dribble about us.
One thing we can all agree on is there was lots of deaths around here over the years. In fact, when they demolished the unused hospital in 1956, they exhumed over 3,200 bodies.
Not to mention the vast quantities of ashes.
We did have our share of diseases around here. Do you all remember the Spanish flu?
Oh, the Spanish, you think typhoid was bad. The 1,600 Seattleites died of Spanish influenza in 1918. A fifth of the world's population contracted that disease, and it killed 675,000 in the U.S. alone.
Within hours of first contracting the symptoms, fever, headache, extreme fatigue. Get this, the victim would turn blue.
You start coughing uncontrollably.
Yeah, some patients coughed so hard as to tear their own abdominal muscles.
Vomiting, diarrhea. You start bleeding from your ears.
This goes on and on until, as one physician put it, struggling to clear your airwaves of the blood-black froth gushing from your mouth and your nose, you die.
Nurse, we've lost another patient.
Joe, fire up the furnace. We've got another one.
I'll be with you in a moment. You don't want to end up like him, so you wash your hands and eat healthy. An apple a day. Thank you very much. Have a good night.